All right, we are live for the midweek edition of the Morning Check-in, and as always, looking forward to connecting, sharing my 2 cents on a variety of subject matter, and of course, checking in with you guys to see what's on your mind. So feel free to let me know in the comment section or in the chat directly. Got a couple headlines worth touching on, but today I want to focus on the bigger picture, which is what this show has been centered around for the last decade, which is the rebranding of our currency as a result of more nations rethinking the role of what we call a dollar within the financial system. And so I'm starting to see a lot of trends. And of course, everything is centered around stablecoins and how stablecoins are being presented as what I perceive as being the lifeline or the extension of the dollar's dominance within the system. Will it work? We'll have to wait and see. But the goal is just to paint a picture as to why that is and how we arrived at this point. And of course, the practical things that you can do to protect and preserve everything you work hard for. So that's my whole job here as a monetary literacy analyst, as I call myself. Anyway, looking forward to having a good time, man. And so for those who are checking in, as always, let me know where you're watching from. We'd definitely love to welcome you in the chat or in the comment section. And also, the goal is to give you some good news centered around the Word of God, which is the most important aspect of your life, I hope. And then get through some market activity, get to some resources, and then comb through the headlines and try to decipher some of the noise to make things, for the most part, make sense to the average person. So we're going to do that, and it's going to be a good morning. So let me make sure everything is flowing smoothly on my end here, then we will jump right into it. And let me move some things around on the back end here. And so before I move forward, for those who might be new, you never know, you're going to definitely learn some things or hear things from a different perspective that you will not from the mainstream media. So you definitely want to join the community. So if you don't mind, hit that like button, subscribe, share, bell, check, whatever it is, wherever you're watching from, so you can stay plugged in. And then, of course, if you see anything that I mention or reference along this show here, feel free to screen capture it, share it, or whatever. And of course, a lot of the articles can be found at rtd.news. Links in the description. I try to put all the information together on one page so you can have access to it and do your own research as well. Because once again, just trying to gather information and share my 2 cents on everything. So hopefully that helps you. And then also, for those who want to start or continue on their monetary literacy journey, I simply have 10 quick questions, which I call the Dollar IQ quiz. And it basically opens the door up to some things we were not taught in school. So as of now, the average is beneath 60%. So there's a lot of things that people might not know and need to know, especially in the midst of this reset that we're in. So go to rethinkingthedollar.com/quiz, or just rethinking the dollar, scroll to the bottom, take the quiz, and then begin your monetary journey from there. So definitely a good way to continue to educate yourself. So continuous learning is crucial. Okay, so let's get into some good news real quick, and then we'll get into some other things. Let me get on the screen here. Okay, June 25th. Taste and see is what this is called. And this couldn't come at a better time. To taste and see the goodness of the Lord. Okay, it says, "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who trusts in him." Blessed is the man who trusts in him. Let that marinate for a quick second. Psalm 34:8. Then it goes on to say here, "You ever notice how tasting something changes everything? You can describe honey all day, but until it hits your tongue, you don't know how sweet it really is." David said, "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good." He wasn't he wasn't inviting us to religion. He was inviting us to an experience, an encounter. Jesus echoed this in John 6 when he said, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry." John 6:35. That's kingdom language. He wasn't offering a snack. He was offering a satisfaction for your soul. In the wilderness, Israel saw miracles, but many never tasted the promised land. Don't settle for watching others experience God's goodness. The kingdom is meant to be consumed, tasted, lived, and embodied. So today, don't just believe he's good. Taste and see it for yourself. Closing prayer is, "Lord, today I taste and see that you are good, and I trust you to satisfy every part of me. In Jesus' mighty name, amen." Amen and amen. As always, for those that word might resonate for, feel free to drop an amen in the chat. Or, once again, take it, screen capture it, share it so other people can also be spiritually charged. That's how you share the good news, bit by bit, voice by voice. Okay, so let's get into it, man. Let me just look right real quick here. I'm going to look at some market activity. And as always, my goal is to present information of things that come across my radar in reference to the bigger picture. And let's just look right now at some price activity. Let me move on the screen here. And then I will help steer people towards some resources that I want to make sure I continue to provide for people as a means to protecting yourself. Okay, so real quick, we got gold, $3,322 an ounce, silver, $35.89, platinum is on the move, people. Palladium is also going to move eventually. So we got the four primary monetary mediums, two of which are at the top, and the bottom two are more industrial, but yet they have monetary type properties due to the scarcity factor. And so in a world of unlimited fiat, it's good to say these things here will respond in a very favorable way, meaning that they will appreciate substantially in accruing all that excess liquidity that will come after this next event. That's just my opinion there. And of course, I didn't want to tell you all this activity without pointing you in the direction of some resources. So real quick here, for those who might be new, you never know. But there are resources that I think are affordable for everybody. There's no reason why people can't get their weight up in an affordable manner, because not everybody can go drop 3,000 plus premium on a gold 1 ounce coin. But you can get the fractional, smaller stuff that will act as a wealth preservation tool just as well. So for those who are interested, on the screen here, we got the mini gold bars, 1/4 grain, 24 karat, tiny, but yet powerful ways of preserving yourself. And so as you can see, I got one right here. So if you guys are interested, links in the description. You can go to minigoldbars.com, take you right to this page here and get your weight up in that form. And then next, I want to let people know about platinum. So I did my research, and as of right now, we got the 1 gram platinum. 1 gram platinum bars, 3.9 fine, available at a very affordable, reasonable price compared to industry standards. So if you guys are interested in getting yourself some platinum before it also takes off at some point, perhaps, click the link in the description. It's bit.ly, and I got the whole link in the description. Check that out. And then last, I want to make sure I make everybody aware of the importance of actually getting your weight up in these gold backs. And so I call them cash gold notes, whatever you want to call them, but 24 karat gold notes. And of course, I got some right here in front of me. So I got a couple denominations here, so you can actually feel the weight in all of these units here. And so if you're interested in getting your weight up in gold, which is simply redeeming these to get that real stuff, then click the link in the description or just go to buygoldnotes.com and you can get your weight up there, my friends. Okay, so with all out the way, those are just some resources for the problems I'm about to talk about moving forward. So let's just get right into it. So here are some of the headlines I want to touch on and give you a little taste of what we're going to cover. So very first one, UBS calls dollar unattractive as gold becomes a preferred reserve asset. Next one, we got silver on track for the second quarterly close in history, second highest quarterly close. Next one, a stablecoin bill heads to the House, Senate shifts to market structure. And then last, it's a great thing the Fed Chair Powell backs the U.S. crypto bills. And so these are some things we're going to touch on one by one. And of course, everything here, I put it in that particular order just to show you how it's because of the global status of our monetary structure in general, where other nations are being forced to reconsider, rethink how they're going to participate in this new economy that's unfolding. And at the very end of all this stuff that we are a part of, they already have their solution, and it's all digital. Hence the idea of the digital asset space and all the excitement around that, which of course I've done videos talking about how anything that the World Economic Forum supports and it's actually helping to build out, you should be concerned with, because if they are the cause of the problems, they are the ones giving us their reactions that we're responding to. And it doesn't surprise you that they also have the solution as well to these problems that they created. Things you should be aware of. So that's why I started off talking about the physical things you can actually hold in your possession that will absorb all that liquidity that's coming as a result of this catastrophe that we're going to witness. And of course, their solution will be everyone should do this. That's where you want to make sure you have some options, people. Okay, so one by one. As always, these articles here can be found on the rtd.news page here. So once again, links in the description here. And those are just a couple that I grabbed from this because there's way more than I can ever actually get to. But I try to grab all the stories relevant to monetary and geopolitics and everything else to give it to you straight so you can have something as a resource. So rtd.news, put in your URL, take you there, and go from there. Okay, let's get into the very first subject. Here we got UBS calls a dollar unattractive as gold becomes a preferred reserve asset. So ultimately, gold has been the monetary medium for millennia, and so it's simply being treated as what it always has been, which is a protection vehicle against malfeasance from governments and central banks and everybody and their mother. And so it shouldn't be surprising, but it's the way that it's taking place and at the speed it's taking place, which is something that people should really be paying attention to. And so once again, I'm going to thumb through some of this, show you some graphs and charts and stuff like that. Just overall lay the foundation for why everybody's excited about stablecoins, which is a potential lifeline because it creates another form of what I consider to be synthetic liquidity, synthetic dollars in a more modernized form is what it's basically boiling down to. So it's the powers that be's last hope at making the dollar relevant on an international stage. But of course, domestically within this country, everyone's going to use something associated or named as a USD. And of course, it's going to be digital at the end of the day because they're going to be forced to remove this once they go NERP after the next crash and everything like that. So, okay, so real quick, let's go through some headlines here. And I will share with you because this came out 2 days ago from Frank Holmes. And Frank Holmes does a good job of dropping nuggets. And of course, the visual aids also adds value to it. So real quick here. It says the dollar index, which measures a basket of fiat currencies, has declined by approximately 10% this year through mid-June and is currently trading at its lowest level in 3 years. It says this is no small dip, and there may be additional downside risk due to concerns over America's growing deficit and ongoing fluctuations in tariffs. And so literally just this year alone, this is what he's trying to highlight. The US dollar value has sunk approximately by 10% so far this year. And so you see in January 1st, if 0 was a measuring point to this current day of June, month of June, here we are now down, as he said, about 10%. So if you guys can see behind me, let me zoom out so you can see what I see here. Zoom out, move to the side. Let me see if I can. Just to show you what is actually happening on the global monetary stage. And so mind you, if you have been forced to hold these units as a way of transacting on the international landscape, you got to really consider like sitting on these things too long doesn't help me because I'm not getting interest on these things. So they're not growing, nominally speaking. But then again, the risk falls on me for holding too many of these things because we're witnessing the implosion within the United States of America amongst the left-right divide and the debt problems, the deficits, the tariffs, all the stuff that Trump is intentionally doing. As I always mention, Trump has been put in place for a variety of reasons. Of one is to oversee the reset. And how I can say that is because of this particular visual aid here, where I share with you, let me get on the screen here, the fact that every single president has played their part to this day. You go back, no matter what political affiliation you call yourself a part of, they all have been a part of the same thing. More debt, more debasement, more currency destruction. Here you are now. We can't go no lower than 0. So with 0.2% of a 2 cents less of original dollar, where are you going to go? That's why they need something to fill the gap and to usher us into the next space, which is the stablecoin race. And stablecoins are a quasi format to the central bank digital currency, or a treasury stablecoin, which will ultimately play the same role of a federal coin, Fed coin, whatever you want to call it, which every single nation is working on a centrally controlled unit that is solely digital. So, that is factual. You can take that to the bank because currency is already predominantly digital. Okay, so I say all that because this plays into some of the issues that the world is forced to consider now. And if the world is considering it, and if the world is considering holding dollars as an unattractive medium, then you too should also consider the fact that you shouldn't base your entire life around fiat. So if you earn fiat, which we all do in some capacity, you have to begin strategizing the way that they're doing on the international stage with what you're going to do. How much are you willing to hold in case of an event where the government and the central bank work in cahoots to expand the monetary base, ultimately diluting what you hold by 10, 20, 30, whatever it might be after the fact, which means when you go to the grocery store, if there's stuff on the shelf, you're going to be able to buy way less than if you were protecting yourself outside of the weapon of choice, which is a currency, and waiting for those things to appreciate and then being able to get out incrementally for the things that you need. That's a whole nother strategy point, but you get my point. It says, in a note to clients last week, UBS says the dollar is now unattractive with further declines expected as the U.S. economy slows. Meanwhile, so here's the thing. We got UBS, which is a predominantly European, aka Swiss institution, and they're telling their clients who are more than likely high net worth individuals that operate on an international scale. And so in Switzerland, the Swiss franc being the strongest of the currencies, because of their limited supply and their more fiscal and monetary response, so they've been more responsible in a sense. So they're telling their clients that, hey, it's been safe to hold these things, but now you need to rethink. You need to start considering some other things. And of course, what are they recommending? It's in the title. It says, meanwhile, Bloomberg reports that foreign vendors from Latin America to Asia are asking U.S. importers to settle invoices in euros, pesos, and renminbi to avoid currency swings. This is a far cry from the post-World War II era when the greenback was a unquestioned default for global transactions. So this might be small. It's very insignificant in the grander scheme, but it's picking up bit by bit, and it's just something that people should be aware of. And as a result of that, more people are saying, hey, outside of just needing a pile of cash for immediate transactions, some perhaps for investing, but the other portion I need to figure out how to get out of those things and get into something solid. And then this is where we get into gold now, the second largest reserve currency following the dollar. So here we are now, right where everything originated at 100 plus years ago, when gold and silver were primary mediums that everybody had in their possession physically. Everybody knew what gold and silver was. At that point, it's returning back to that. But once again, 99.99% of people don't know this. But if you're watching, then clearly you know. And it says here, one of the surest beneficiaries of the dollar's weakness has been gold. Price in dollars of precious metal has tended to move inversely with the dollar's value. It says the inverse relationship has been on a full display this year, with gold trading at $34 per ounce, approximately $100 off its record high. And so here you have another chart that tells you a very interesting story. It just further highlights what foreigners are forced to consider, especially the high net worth individuals. You got to look at the charts, because the charts are not telling a lie. So here we got US dollar index, gold price per ounce. So we got the blue line is a dollar index. We got gold, and we see the decoupling. And so this is the great decoupling right here. That great divergence where one is going this way, the other one's going down that way. And so that will only grow wider because these things here have no financial future to them, because they're just simply debt instruments that can never be repaid unless you print and create more of these. But yet, when it comes to this thing right here, GOLD, you can't just print it. You got to go in the ground and get it, which requires energy, effort, money, time, energy, body, labor, yada. So that's just something that UBS clients are being told in this visual presentation. And then last here, let's give you a little bit another visual aid here. It says, even as these elevated prices, central banks now around the world have continued to accumulate. According to the World Gold Council, official sector gold purchases exceeded 1,000 tons in each of the last 3 years, which is more than double the average of the previous decade. It says a ECB report noted that for the first time ever, gold now represents a larger share of total global foreign exchange reserves, 20%, than the euro, 60%. So here you got record number of central banks see gold reserves increase over the last 12 months. So you got to ask yourself, what are these people seeing that we're not? So literally, like, to go from 54% increase and remain unchanged, just look at the blue. The blue is an increase. Every year, more central banks are adding their weight. So It goes on to give more information there, but if you guys want to read the rest, feel free to do so for yourself. And the next one here, silver, on track for its second highest quarterly close. So here's just a little graphic here. Silver quarterly close is next Monday. And this came out yesterday from Jordan Roy, who I haven't had on the show in a long time. I should reach out to him. Said if it holds its level, it's the second highest quarterly close. So here we see what he's referring to here. And as of right now, as of the time he screen captured this, that $35.90 is a key level, given that you can see where we're nowhere near where it needs to go. So just something to consider there. And so where does that take us? Right into where they want to go. A stablecoin bill heads to the House. Senate shifts to market structure. So when you have Congress agreeing on anything, you can tell that it's usually a greater agenda behind it. Very seldom is there bipartisanship on anything significant unless it's meant to cause long-term harm, but yet get the current government off the hook for the problems that they created. And so let's just run through this real quick. It says the Digital Assets Committee. So the fact there's a Digital Assets Committee lets us know that they're building out the infrastructure they need to pull this off. This will be, once again, when we look back in history books, we're going to consider like, man, we got bamboozled again. Just like back in the day, your great-great-grandparents got bamboozled when Woodrow Wilson came out and backed the Federal Reserve Act. And then shortly thereafter, income taxes. All going back to 1913, December, when everybody's enjoying the Christmas time frame, this dude's signing his name, signing our country away. And here we are now, where this guy is going to be the closer. Trump is the closer of this Ponzi scheme. But yet, you can okay, this is me just being critical. You can tell that he's a part of the plan because every president on that chart were all chosen to be there, and they were forced to participate because the system is designed in this way. And so if people really think that there's going to be a person that comes about that's not a part of the script, and just literally going to disrupt what took 100 years to get here. So you got to think about this. For the globalists, the principalities and powers that be, this was an agenda all along, to drain the American labor, energy, time, effort, and rob our country whole while extracting all the potential purchasing power from our nation's currency when this became a private instrument, a debt instrument, a contract between the government and the central bank, and expecting the taxpayers to pay interest on this same instrument here. When we get to zero, there is nothing left of this system. And the powers that be, those that are in control, I can give labels, names, I'll disregard that. But the people who are responsible for this, that was the agenda all along. And when they're done, you don't think they got a plan for what comes next? And therefore, in order to accomplish that, they have to put the people in the right places to accomplish that. And that's how I can tell you this guy here is just not all of a sudden had a change of heart and wanted to be a patriot and to make America great again. How can America be great again if our currency is heading to zero? He never talks about our currency, but he's keep telling Jerome Powell to cut rates, which only expands the monetary base, further debasing this. So clearly, we all know there's no hope coming out of D.C. But then again, some people want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But once again, the math doesn't lie. Just yesterday, it was 37 trillion and like 19. Now it's 23, people. And if I log in tomorrow, it's going to be about 25. 37, 0, 25, or 26, or 27, or more. This doesn't stop. Therefore, our currency will not ever be of value to you to where it's something that you want to hold lots of, in my opinion. Okay, let's keep it going. So let's get into their solution. The powers that be's solution, stablecoin bill. Okay, let's thumb through this real quick. It says roughly a week after the U.S. Senate voted to pass the Genius Act. Mind you, every time you see a bill that's labeled and packaged up as being something that's like so, like patriotic, I'm sure within the fine print there's truth, but nobody reads these things, but they all put their name on it. It says regulate payment statements Stablecoins, the chamber is moving to discuss a path forward for a digital asset market structure framework. So once again, this is all being rushed through very fast. Like, the previous administration was so bad on purpose that they attacked crypto. They opened up the borders. They did everything to make this country worse than what it is today. So it don't take much for somebody to come in and just do slightly better than, and the people will be satisfied. And so because crypto was so slaughtered on purpose, what better person to come in on a white horse to save the day other than this administration, with all of a sudden our Congress coming to the light and thinking like, oh, this is really going to help maintain dollar supremacy. Okay. On Tuesday, lawmakers in the Senate Banking Committee, Digital Asset Committee Subcommittee will hear from lawyers at Coinbase and Multicoin Capital as part of its efforts to establish bipartisan legislative framework for digital assets market structure. So once again, you got the key exchanges and some big players coming together to educate our Congress on the importance of having a framework structure and something that's labeled as new technology that is supposed to be like disruptive and all of that other stuff. But yet, once again, it's all priced in USD terms. So they can create unlimited amount of debt, have the stable coins being issued by the creators of them, come in and buy this debt, fund our government, and expand the monetary base, all in a new digitized form. That's all this is. So we got the hearing will include testimony from Coinbase Vice President, Multicoins Capital, University of Pennsylvania Wharton School of Economic Director, whatever. The hearing will be one of the Senate's first follow-ups on the digital legislation passing the GENIUS Act on June 17th, 68-30. So whenever you have that much cooperation to where you get 68 people to say yay, it's like, come on now, who's back there scratching? Who funded some of their activities to where they were just all of a sudden, oh yeah, stablecoins is how you save America. The bill moved to the House of Representatives for discussion, proposed amendments as voted, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Trump's crypto ties still under scrutiny. So Donald Trump and his empire, his children are literally creating meme coins. They got the World Liberty Financial Platform. They got political donations. They just announced that they're taking Truth Social, his platform, creating a Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF off of it. So clearly this is going to work out very favorable for the Trumps. So everybody behind the scenes working on this know the outcome of it. So once again, from a speculation standpoint, how could you not kind of be enticed with this, given that we know that this is a part of what they need to succeed in order to keep the U.S. relevant, amongst all the things I first started talking about, where UBS is telling everybody, hey, you might want to hold less dollars. You know what I'm saying? So anything that can give the dollar a lifeline is something that people will entertain. And this is how I know this is all a part of the same propaganda. We got Jerome Powell coming out saying that, oh, it might not be bad after all. It's a great thing. Fed Chair Powell backs U.S. crypto bill. Federal Reserve Powell shared support for the crypto legislation before Congress, signaling that the U.S. would benefit from regulatory clarity. So once again, we got the same people who have destroyed our nation's currency. And so every president who picked a central banker has gotten us to this point where there's not much left purchasing power in our national currency. And so the same people who destroyed this are now saying that this new class of assets is helpful, is beneficial, and it will provide more clarity, and it will be a good option. So people should really consider, like, what's in it for them? How will they benefit from this? Because the average person may say, hey, I want my bag. I got my bag's going to pump, and Trump going to pump my bags. I'm going to be richer. But once again, when has the powers that be allowed the pawns or the minions or the, as Hillary would call us, the deplorables, to actually win in the end? Okay, so, but this time is different. Okay, Federal Reserve Chair Powell said it was a great thing. Okay, so let's go to a little bit quote here. It says, Federal Reserve Chair Powell vocalized support for crypto legislation before Congress yesterday, signaling that the U.S. would benefit from it. He said, it's a great thing that bills are moving. We need a stable coin framework. So here you got the central bank of central banks saying that we need a stable coin framework, meaning that stable coins are a part of the bigger picture, because the CBDC narrative will not fly because the mainstream public knows about the dangers out immediately within a CBDC. And so under Biden, more people started to catch wind of CBDCs. And as a result of that, CBDCs. And so as a result of that, they had to pivot. And so they can't actually, if Trump was to come out now in support of a CBDC, everybody who was MAGA, who already know that, he's not really this is not going to really benefit them. But even still, you wouldn't actually see people. People are so quiet now. All the people who were very loud during the campaign trail out there, every influencer buying red hats, buying shirts, attending the same rally where you say the same dang thing over and over and over again. Those people right now, they're not too vocal with what he's doing and how he's doing it, but there are more people expressing their displeasure in him. So if he was to come out and say a CBDC is a good thing, who gonna stop him? What you gonna do? I mean, what you gonna do? Take back your donations, your campaigns? You gonna take your hat back and get your refund? It's too late. So they can just change the word from CBDC to use stablecoin, and it's gonna accomplish the same thing at the end of the day. Because once again, if you don't hold something, then do you got to really own it? That's the question you got to wonder. Okay, but real quick here. So in reference to the CBDC, so total central bank digital currency status as of June 23rd of this year. This is what's happening. And so purple is proof of concept. So the U.S. is already on track to have something. So as we can see here, if I zoom in, we got over the United States, we have the digital dollar was canceled. Project Hamilton is a proof of concept, is still operational. And so you mean to tell me that they got 3 different variations of the same technology, all being centrally ran and controlled by whoever wrote the code and whoever controls and maintains the servers or the networks, that they cancel one, but one is still operational, proof of concept, and then the whole DCL digital dollar is still in research. So they're working on things, and it's my opinion that it's already done. It's just a matter of getting people to buy in through events and distractions and diversion tactics. But ultimately, this stablecoin excitement, you better believe stablecoins are associated with the same technology. So other than the naming, you better believe they're all one and the same. And so here we got other countries, and the pilots are already operational. The digital ruble, the digital CECNY, we got the digital Tang, we got the digital Real in Iran, we got the digital rupee. Europe already got the digital euro. So come on now, be real. Be real. Just follow the tech. Just follow the tech, follow the currency, and you'll be better off. Okay. And so I'll just leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? Once again, if the person, so here's the thing. Trump can bash Jerome Powell, call him stupid, dumb, he's ignorant, he don't know what he's doing, he should have been cut rates a long time ago, he's behind the curve, he's never on time, all that jawboning. But then again, Donald Trump supports stablecoins, and now Jerome Powell supports stablecoins. So they agree on something. Ain't that a coincidence? Anyway, it's funny. It's all fun and games until it's not. Okay. And then we're going to hear more and more about, this whole Middle Eastern conflict, because as I mentioned yesterday, there will be no peace until it's time. So Trump hoping for a comprehensive peace agreement with Iran. We know the current occupiers of the nation state of Israel don't want peace, so don't expect it to hold. They need the U.S. to stay in the line. Trump will continue to bow down and comply. We know where this goes until it doesn't. But once again, these are just some things that caught my attention that I think are worth yours, because if you zoom out beyond the distractions and all the noise and the president going haywire on his Twitter account and all that stuff, just look at the fact that no matter what is being said or done, none of this stuff, and I repeat, none of this stuff will put more purchasing power in your pocket. It is on you. At the end of the day, like every single currency that's ever been created, anything that's based on debt must be repaid. And if it can't, it will be defaulted upon. And they will default either through outright debasement or the revaluation of our currency into something totally new which of course is being set up to be a stablecoin, aka CBDC, or something that's tech in nature that you can't control and you will not own. That's just my hypothesis on all this. But once again, for those who are plugged in, at the very beginning, I gave you some small, simple steps that are the most affordable way to diversify outside of the system according to what you can. And once again, it's all on you. No one's coming to save you at the end of the day. No one is going to sign a bill into law that's going to turn away evil. There'll never be peace, justice, or equality in this life because the system doesn't work that way. So once again, that's just my 2 cents. Hope you found this informative. Curious to hear your thoughts. Drop an idea. Hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe. Check out all the resources below. Shalom.